I don't know what you mean, my brother.
Yeah, you
All I
did.
ever
All right.
I,
Hello. Welcome to episode 246 of the Super Weapon Podcast, most overpowered podcast on the internet. It's your boy, Darius Artist, and as always, got my co-host DC here with me today.
Hey guys, it's your favorite wet fart, DC in the
Oh
buildings.
man.
Oh wait, hold on. Give me a thumbs up if you guys want to hear a wet fart. No, that's what we're not doing.
Oh
Anyway,
please no.
welcome. I've been messing around with sound effects and I'm real giddy right now, so don't mind me. But anyway, what's up, guys? It's your main man DC sitting here with the DJ drama intro. We about to drop bombs on Xbox Game Pass today. Yeah, I said it. I'm jumping right into it. Today, we will be discussing not only price hikes in the gaming world, but we'll also be discussing, like where do we stand in all this? Like, is this becoming a rich man's hobby or like what's going on here? It's getting really, really expensive to be a gamer. Gaming is becoming a very expensive hobby. And I did a lot of thinking about this last night because I was thinking, like, has it ever not been expensive? Because I remember back in the day growing up, Nintendo, like to get a Nintendo game was like a blessing, right? Like
Yeah.
to get a game, period, was just like, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe I just grew up real middle class ish because we didn't like get all the games when they came out or whatever. It was usually around a holiday. You know what I'm saying? It was usually like Christmas or your birthday where I would get a game. I've never remembered just until I started working. But I'm talking about when I was like young and was dependent on my mom and stuff to get these things for us. So it just brought up a very interesting conversation of where do I think things are going in gaming, and we're going to talk about it today. We're going to explore that today as we talk about Xbox price increase, Game Pass price increase, and stuff like that. And I'm really excited to know what you think, my brother. And yeah, that's where we are. That's where we're going to be with it today.
Man. Um yeah, this news. So for those of you guys who didn't hear, to give a little bit of context to what DC was referring to, this was the second piece of major news that Xbox dropped in the last couple of weeks. The first was that they were increasing the price of the hardware. I believe the Series X was $649, the 2 terabyte Series X was $699, and I can't remember how much the Series S went up to. Actually, hold on, I think I got it in front of me. Yeah, the Series S was $399, and then the 1 terabyte is $449. So I think this, including the Game Pass restructure from what you guys are seeing here, is honestly a result of the crows coming home to roost, or whatever the saying is, man. You know, you're just coming off of this very large acquisition as a company, and I think Microsoft is at a point where, whether that's from pressure coming from Microsoft themselves, from to Xbox, or them just looking at things not being as profitable as they should be, they're really making some rash moves that I think that, just like we talked about off of the podcast, I feel like Xbox is pretty much just thrown in the towel when it comes to this generation. They were already underperforming in sales with hardware by quite a bit. And I think, the price increase, they can say it's due to tariffs, and I'm sure that's some partly true, but just like you mentioned, at the same time, I think these are kind of unprecedented times when it comes to gaming and the cost of entry. I think while there's more than, there's more ways than ever for people to play games. I mean, you got people that can play games. You can play games on your tablet, your iPhone. There's various portals or platforms for people to kind of like participate in, but I feel like we're heading towards this really just like subscription based premium. You get these premium features, this kind of front of the line access is what it's sounding like for what Xbox is proposing here with this Game Pass update, and I think it's a gigantic mistake. And do you remember the Zune? just
Yeah,
really,
I had
I
two of
was
them.
really just like thinking about that in the way that Xbox will have something that's really really good going really well for them, and then they'll just completely set it on fire. And that was the Zune. And
Man,
you know, this announcement here, especially with the way that it was handled, is giving me shades of the Xbox One generation, where they're betting big on the future to the point that they know they're probably going to lose people. They're going to lose a lot of money off of this, and they don't care. They essentially don't. You know, they've made some concessions because, like I said, as you can see, there's different perks for these tiers here. I think, and I'm gonna just preface this: we're not telling you guys how to spend your money. Everybody has a perceived value on, you know, value means something different for everybody, right?
hmm
I can imagine people are probably gonna a lot of people are probably gonna sit in that premium tier, that middle tier there. That I think is gonna be, you know, the people that do stick around, because we saw, you know, a lot of people online were saying that they were unsubscribing. They were, you know, the site apparently went down for a little while from people trying to unsub. And you know, just full disclosure, I haven't had Game Pass in like a month, I think. Like after that initial Expedition 33 burst, and me knowing I wasn't going to play it anytime soon or didn't have the time, I just kind of let it lapse. Like it wasn't anything malicious, you know, at that point. But with this being just like a big focus for them, I'm just really surprised by this, man. Like I caught off guard because we've always talked about how there was going to be an eventual price increase for Game Pass, right? And they kind of did what Disney did during the pandemic, where they had a really low floor for everybody to come in. You know, back when Game Pass first started, it was really bare bones, very, you know, people didn't really get it. You know, people weren't really sold on it. But as time has gone on, we've seen it grow to what it is now. And I mean, you look at the rest of Microsoft now; they're all focused on like services. Like the company itself is focused on services, and that's essentially what they're offering here. But I think this is a huge mistake. I think it's too soon for this, man. Like you know, I was expecting a price increase, but to go from 19.99 all the way up to $30 a month. I mean, my gosh, man. Like, do you? I don't know if I feel it's valuable at that tier anymore. I don't know about you, or you know, if you're planning on keeping your Game Pass, or if you feel like you need to, you know, vote with your wallet here. You know, how do you kind of feel about this? Like looking at this particular, just these changes, man. Like it's kind of a lot, to
I
be
think
honest.
it's a big crock of bullshit. That's what I think. But I don't think now is the time or place for this.
Mm-mm.
First of all, let's talk about where the economy is as a whole.
Yeah.
A lot of people are downsizing when it comes to the first thing that goes when the economy is struggling, when people are paying $84 for a loaf of bread. What do you think is going to happen? They got to eat. So essentially, anything that's not food is going to get left behind.
Yeah.
So all your Disney Plus, Hulu, like people are really getting away. People are really looking at their sources of entertainment, because we were
Mm-hmm.
even talking about this when it comes to concerts. Like concert sales are not really where they supposed to be. And people, it's because like the internet will have you people it'll have you thinking people are living their best lives, they're traveling, having fun. It's all bullshit. It's a bullshit facade. Everybody's on the fence right now trying to save. So stuff like this, like for a price hike for essentially like an app or whatever you want to call it, I think it's
Service.
just bad.
Just think of it
Yeah,
like
service.
essentially a service. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was a good time to do this right now. I knew this was coming. I knew it was coming. We knew this was coming like a while ago. But for what you're getting, and this is coming from a person who's had like the premium, like ultimate. I didn't had Xbox since Xbox was around when it was Xbox Live. Like I've had this forever. So I don't think it was. I think it's just all about timing. Like I don't think the timing was right for this,
Yeah.
especially after you just increase the prices on your hardware. Like people wasn't even really over that yet. And then it was just like you had the nerve to kind of like pull this, and then you dropped your handheld essentially, which is $1,000. And it's just like, where do y'all think people got this
Yeah,
money?
that's gonna be interesting too when that
Yeah,
releases.
like where do you
I
think
think in
people
the
have this all
next
this money?
I think it comes out in the next few weeks or within the next month and a half is it's out. And
I think they're going full gusto. I
you
just think
know,
Xbox, like, you know what? Fuck it.
and if I'm being honest, and it's funny, because when you brought up console exclusivity in chat, the one thing that really stands out for me with this, or one thing in particular that we've talked about for years back and forth, was games day one on Game Pass. That is now
Mhm.
exclusive to just the ultimate tier. If you have the $15 a month, like you'll get some games within the year of launch, according to this chart here. And so you have to wonder, with Microsoft now looking at releasing games on other platforms, with their reported loss of $300 million with putting Call of Duty on Game Pass last year, if
Mm.
they realize like maybe we made a mistake, maybe we jumped the gun, and maybe console exclusives do matter. You know, I could see that being a real scenario. Call of Duty has to do well this year. I think it will, but the narrative isn't so clear around it. I've been spending a lot of
Mhm.
time watching the beta that's been going on, and if you guys have played the Call of Duty beta, I would love to hear your thoughts. Let us know if you've had a chance to check it out. But it seems like it's a real mixed bag, man, to be quite honest. And that was supposed to be one of Xbox's big pillars in this acquisition. So they definitely can't let that fall. They're not gonna, mess that cash cow up. So I could definitely see this being a reflection of a lot of that. They're like, maybe we should put a little bit more focus on that, because once again, they've been closing a lot of studios. A lot of the studios that they purchased are no longer around, or they've sold off those assets. Look at what happened to Perfect Dark. That studio was in development for years, and they eventually cut their losses on that. Maybe now
Call of
they
Duty.
feel like, this kind of goes back. It's like, you can't really measure success for a game on Game Pass. There's very rare cases like Expedition 33 where a game it sold well outside of Game Pass, but Game Pass kind of helped to give it that buzz. But that doesn't happen for everything that a company partners with Xbox. And that's another thing. It's like, are these indie or smaller studios going to want to continue to work with them at this point? Because I imagine that these different tiers are like for businesses or for studios. Like, let's say Studio A wants to come work with Microsoft, but they don't want their game to be day one on Game Pass, so they only want it on the premium tier and below. So maybe that's a different revenue share for a company that does choose to have theirs day one. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so weird. Like, I just don't
Because it goes back
understand.
to this. It goes back to this, right? And we've had this discussion so many times. How are the studios and developers, publishers, whatever, how are they getting paid? It's always been like this big mystery when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to Xbox Game Pass. And it's really showing its face now, especially after you said what you just said. Like maybe they don't want it to be a first day thing, or like how much would they get paid if it only went through the essential tier? Like Xbox is really unraveling right now.
Yeah,
And I feel like I feel like Microsoft is at a very vulnerable state. And I'll go ahead and say it. I think that they're not good with handling problems. Microsoft is just good at throwing money at shit.
yeah,
Like
and
they just
they're
have
not
money to
afraid to pull the
spare.
plug. Like, they're just not afraid to pull a plug on something. You
Yeah,
know.
they just throw money at a problem, and then if it don't work, it just get pulled because
Mm-hmm.
it's like we bought all these studios, and the reason why I'm saying that is because they really pumped their nuts up. Like a couple of years ago, they was like, "Hey, we're gonna get all these studios, we're gonna have all these
We're
games,"
back,
and they was
baby. We're
Yeah,
back.
oh, Xbox is back, and I'm not gonna sit up here and lie. If you look at the older podcasts, I was on the train.
I
I
mean,
was on
we
the
we
Xbox
we
train
were
hard.
we were hoping for the best, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, or that shouldn't invalidate this conversation because you wanted what's best for an industry that
But
has
it's okay to question.
yeah,
That's
like
my thing.
it's okay because at the end of the day, if we came on here and we were just like celebrating this, that would have been like incredibly disingenuous at that point, because I did, like, I was just looking at a lot of just like numbers when it came to this, and something else that I thought was kind of interesting that once again Microsoft could be betting big on with the whole services angle is the continued decline in hardware sales of consoles, and it's not just for Xbox, it's for PlayStation too. Like generation over generation, consoles just continue to sell less and less and less. And we've talked about this before, right? I don't think Microsoft is going to get out of the console making business anytime soon, but I think that they're going to start treating that more as a complementary piece to the ecosystem versus it being the focus. I think the focus going forward is services. It's going to be Game Pass. They're trying to offer all these other incentives that I know I personally don't care about. Like I said, we talk about value, right? Like for somebody who has a family or a son that loves Fortnite, the ultimate tier might make sense because you get those battle pass points, whatever the hell Fortnite crews, you get all those incentives that will appeal to some people. I don't think that this is the end of Game Pass like some people were touting or nothing like that. You always have this, because it happens with other streaming services. Netflix just went up on their prices, right? A lot of people were canceling. A lot of those people probably went back and got Netflix, or Disney Plus again. Like it happens all the time. I've done it before, where it's like if the price increase for something goes up, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to pay that right now. I'll go for a few months without that service, and I'll be like, I kind of miss it. I want to check out some new stuff on there for a little bit. I do it all the time. Just because that's how I kind of perceive my values. Like we'll binge watch a lot of stuff on one platform, swap it out for another one. That's just
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I am with Netflix right now. I got Netflix back because there was a couple of shows on there that I wanted to watch, and once I watch those shows, I'm probably gonna trash it, and then I'm gonna get Hulu because there's some stuff I want to watch on Hulu. Like it's a swap out, and like I said, people right now are very careful with the little extra money that you have. People are being very careful with what they pick for. Like what I would like to call leisure items. You know what I'm saying? Like you got these things, and Xbox, I'm not gonna lie, I still do have my ultimate, shelling out the $30. But I tell you this, Xbox, and I know it's coming. You raise that son bitch one more time. My black ass is out of here.
And that's good. I'm actually glad you did keep it, because then we could talk. We could do like a checkup and see.
Do you feel bad that they got Harry Potter now that you got rid of it?
No, I don't.
Come on, pothead.
Honestly, I might go back. I'll go back eventually, but just like I mentioned just now, like at that price tier, man, you're competing with Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. Yes, sir. That part of my budget.
I'm telling you, they're gonna have movies.
It's moved.
Coming.
You know what I mean? Like it's moved up to that tier. Of course, we're gonna movies eventually. Coming, you're gonna eventually get that type of stuff, and a lot of people are gonna keep looking at Game Pass, and it's gonna be called something else. Like it's not gonna be Game Pass forever, because when they start putting other media on there, it'll be Microsoft Pass or something really stupid, because Microsoft, they can't name anything well like this.
Right. It's gonna be X Pass, X Series X Pass,
Azure Pass or something, because it's cloud focused. They're gonna do something like that, man. They're gonna brand
be like
it
Cinema Pass, Xbox Cinema Pass, or something.
Whoever
sits in that seat, they should have been fired along. Nah, I'm not gonna say that, but they are bad at names. It could have just been Xbox 2 and 3, but here we go, Series X, whatever we want to do. And it had everybody confused, because remember when all the parents were buying the wrong goddamn Xbox because they didn't know which.
Right, welcome to the ultimate experience, right, Weenie? Just something really just.
Weenie, you got a job at Microsoft.
Engineers aren't good. They're not creative people in the sense that for naming, but. This to me just says Microsoft, they're full steam ahead on working towards next gen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction.
Predict.
I think
Y'all write this down. Write it down.
I think either by the end of this generation or before we get too far into the next generation of consoles, Phil Spencer will be gone.
Ooh.
I think so.
It's been a rough ride, and
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that at all.
I think so. I think it's
Phil's
time.
been taking it to the chin. Like,
you know, he was
he's been
good.
getting-
He was good for the growth that Xbox needed to get to where they currently are. But I think you know, and this is just my thinking. I think Satya's gonna want somebody who's a little bit more closely aligned to what he probably wants, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. You know, for the future of Xbox, I don't. You know, I think personally for me, I'm definitely gonna go back to buying my games. You know,
Ooh, okay.
Game Pass really just like it. You know, like
Shout
like I
out to
said,
David.
value has really. This has really changed my outlook on Game Pass. Like, I still think it's a really good value, depending on, you know, once again, you look at these tiers. You know, what 50 games am I getting? What 200 games am I getting? You know, what's that library
and that's
look like?
shaky, and because that's just like the thing we were talking about with the jobs, right? Where
Mhm.
it's just like, oh, well, America has such and such this many jobs, but it's like, what kind of jobs are we talking
What's the
about?
whole What's the whole picture? Yeah, you know, we
Because
need
400 games, it could be some bullshit. Like, it can be something that
yeah.
you're not even really playing. So it's like, damn, I could have just got the 200 tier. Or like me, only reason I'm keeping mine is because as of right now, I have been using my Game Pass a lot lately.
Yeah.
But
Easy.
I'm looking at the like, because I noticed they added like all these Ubisoft games, and I'm looking like, I don't want to play none of this
You
shit.
know, and
I
that's
know that
what
was one of the selling points,
and
right?
that's the crazy thing right there. Like Ubisoft Classics. Ubisoft has been drowning almost to the point of obscurity, and they're fighting off trying not to get tore apart by other larger companies right now. I can't tell you the last time I've wanted to play an Ubisoft game. You know, EA Play, sure, I could swing that. You know, there's some things on there. I was playing through Mass Effect Legendary Edition pretty regularly. You know, we were playing Apex pretty regularly up until a few months ago. You know, I playing Madden. Guilty pleasure of mine. You know, just a little franchise, not online. You know, I don't play anybody.
He's part of the problem.
You know, I am. I'll admit it. So I got
We all
a
are.
little bit more out of that, but just like that and the Fortnite stuff, and you know, what a weird way to announce that cloud gaming is out of beta now, and you get priority speeds if you pay for Ultimate. You see what I mean? It's like all this stuff is like that was just literally in beta until you guys said it wasn't anymore. Like how does that perform for my $30 a month? You know, if I wanted to go out and play Forza on my iPhone or something, or while I'm on a plane, or it's just so much unknown that comes with this, and it was just such a terrible announcement, man. I'm gonna just be honest, and shame on Microsoft and Xbox leadership for putting that young lady out in that video. You know, because they know they didn't want to be in front of they didn't want to take the bullets, you know, for this bad news, and they just kind of disappear off social media. And I don't really like that, man. Like, you guys are you know, pounding your chest when it's all good news and everyone's celebrating you, but you know, you got to stand on your decisions too, man. These bad decisions, and you knew the community.
10 toes down, goddamn.
Yeah, like, you know, stand up and take that on the chin. Like, this just kind of screams that Microsoft or Xbox is getting told to get in line at Microsoft, man. Honestly, that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I get that feeling. I understand that. Me personally, as a person who has always since day one championed Xbox, like you said, it would be some bullshit if we came on here and just kind of.
No, it's not that bad,
know,
guys. It's
oh,
only
man,
10
suck it
extra.
up, guys. It's
Just
only
10 extra dollars.
No, I am sensitive to people's living situations, and I
Yeah.
understand. Trust me, I understand. $10, yeah, okay. Because if we don't put our foot down, then $10 turn into 20, 20 turn into 30. And then it's just like Tori said earlier, you have to start speaking with your wallet. Like, hold
You
on,
do.
guys. Like, if you're going to be raising these prices, like, I need to be getting some premium shit. I need to be getting something that I'm benefiting from if you're going to keep increasing these prices. Now, like I said, I'm keeping mine for now, and I know they're going to update their price again, and that's going to be when my black ass hit the exit because I'm like, I'm not paying $40. No, I don't utilize it that much to be paying
Yeah, and
$40 a month.
I mean, you're talking almost $400 a year for this service. That's twice what PlayStation Plus is at the highest tier
Right,
for 2 years. You know, and
right.
I was just looking. I was, shout out to our homie New Era. We were talking about this the other night, and I was looking through PlayStation's just like catalog. I was just curious, and their catalog's a little
They got some
underrated.
stuff
They
over
got
there.
some hears in there, man, and
They
not
got some good shit over there that they don't. I feel like they do a horrible job promoting their.
they do, yeah, yeah,
They
they
do a
100%
horrible
do.
job promoting their version of Xbox. I don't know what is it, PlayStation Plus, I believe.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They do a poor
That's
job at
something I may
promoting.
look into, at some point if I feel like I want to go back the service route. But this is where we're going as industry guys. We've talked about this before, man, and this is gonna kind of lead into the next story with EA. You know,
EA.
we're
We about
past,
to get.
like
Go ahead.
we're past a point in the game industry where growth is all just straight vertical. There's no more really room for AAA studios. There's not really a lot of room for consoles or that kind of investment. And this is the kind of stuff that companies are going to start to do to try to stave off some of those costs of development. It's like everything's going to be a subscription now, unfortunately. And it's, oh well.
Yeah, and I believe with what's happening with EA, if you see the potential players behind this acquisition, I truly do feel that we are about to probably see an era of live service that we never seen before because EA has to pretty much make up a lot of money. They were the
Yes.
money that is being tossed around right now for EA, the fact that they were bought out for what, 50 billion?
55 all cash.
55 billion
And
by I can't
so it's
remember
three
the.
it's three firms. So what DC is referring to, so EA announced that they are going private essentially, and they're being bought out by a combination of a Saudi private equity firm, and there's two other equity firms that are splitting the sale essentially. And this is like a really big deal because EA has been public for as long as I can remember. They've always been kind of beholden to their shareholders, and whether that's good or bad or however you want to view it in terms of like the success of their games, I think it's pretty fair to say EA has been on the downtrend the last couple of years, man. And I have Anthem playing here because this game was they had such potential for this,
It
and
was supposed to change my life.
yeah, and we're gonna
I
talk
was
about like
so excited for this goddamn game, bro.
this is just kind of like a prime example of a company who, especially being bought by a Middle Eastern entity, a lot of people are afraid that some of the expression that you have in certain games will be taken away. I think this is just like a really big fucking unknown, man. But this also kind of worries me because just like you mentioned, right? Like EA is in a massive amount of debt. And, some people are speculating that we could see them starting to sell off some of their assets. And one studio that got brought up was BioWare. And
Mm.
BioWare has not been doing well for a long time. They were the ones that made this game. And they've just been
It's been downhill ever since.
it's honestly been downhill since the end of Mass Effect 3. And I'm honestly, if I'm being totally honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we never get the next Mass Effect game after Dragon Age. after the flop that I forget what
Woo.
was the latest Dragon Age that came out, like it didn't do well at all, and then all those reports about development and stuff started coming out, and it was just all just bad and bad. I hope we don't get to a point where we see studios or publishers start getting bought out by these private firms, because they can, once again, they can essentially do what they want. Like, who's to say they won't just make Apex ultra microtransaction heavy, or
Oh, it's coming. Oh, that shit is coming,
you
bro.
know, they could just be focusing on sports, because the Middle East, you know, they have that golf league that they're doing, and they're investing so much money into like World Cup stuff, and maybe they're just buying it for the sports. You know, I imagine that, like, EA just gets gutted and it's just Madden and do they make 2K or live, or you know, just it's nothing,
2K,
or FIFA, excuse me, or just or
yeah,
football club
2K is
now, you know, like,
under 2K publishing. Yeah, it's not under EA.
yeah. So I mean, this is like an insane amount of money. Like $55 billion is, apparently they said this was like the largest all cash acquisition, I think, in the history of ever, which is
Yeah.
pretty insane to think about for
You don't think they gonna want to recoup that? You crazy as hell.
yeah.
Boy, they about to, I'm telling you, you about to see $40, $50 cosmetics in Apex. It's about to get
Yeah.
nasty, bro. And you know what's sad? I'm watching this Anthem clip for our audio listeners. We got Anthem playing in the background. And this brings me to another question, because like if you bought this game, you can no longer even play it.
Nope.
Which brings me to another question about, do you really own games? But we'll talk about that later, because you can't even play this no more. They shut down this game forever.
Yep. I
So
think it was last year they shut the servers down, or earlier this year or something. It was within the
no, it was
last
this
like,
year. It was
yeah.
maybe a couple of months ago. They finally deaded like the servers forever, and because it was on Game Pass, it's gone now, and it's just like you can't play it ever again. So yeah, the
The
whole
sad
ownership thing, and basically when you
oh
buy these games, you're just buying a temporary
the
license
sad
at
the
this point.
sad crux of live service games, man.
Yes. Once they're gone, they are gone. Because what if I just wanted to play Anthem and fly around? Can't even do it because the game doesn't, it's no longer here. But back to EA. Okay, so EA, this is going to change the scale. I'm not going to say gaming. I'm going to say EA is going to be a very interesting thing to follow for the next couple of years to come, because I want to see if there's going to be any innovative ideas here. Are we going to try something different, or is it because they had to buy it for a reason, right? They have some kind of faith in it, right? You spent 55 billion.
I mean, you know, gaming as a whole is still on the uptick. You know, the projections are pretty healthy for the next like 10 or so years for gaming. Like, even though hardware is down, like, people are still buying more games than literally ever before. So they probably saw that as an opportunity.
It's a long run. They probably got a 10-year plan, 10,
Yeah,
12.
and I mean, think about it too. Once again, the Saudis are investing in, you know, the esports World Cup. Like, they're heavily invested, I think, in gaming as a whole, and they just kind of want a piece of the pie, you know, because it's always been such, for a long
I don't even
time,
think.
you know, like, a lot of the biggest companies have been American based, and you know, you're starting to get more globalization when it comes to that, even with like really good games coming out of other locations like China and what was it, Black Myth Wukong, and
Mhm.
the French game, you know, once again, Expedition 33, made by a French team. You know, I think maybe that's what we're starting to see, a little bit of just like globalization, global consolidation, I guess, in a sense.
I think it's something people want to be a part of.
Yeah.
I think people have what they consider their own winning formula,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of just jumping off the porch and like, hey, like, all right, we're gonna get EA and we're gonna do it this way, because we see what the previous owners or whatever, Americans, blah blah blah, whatever. We see what they did when they had it and it didn't work, and it could be a thing to where they probably trying to put their own twist on it. You know what I'm saying? Because they can get it in. I'm hoping for the best, and maybe the best will happen. Maybe we will see, you know,
Yeah.
some positive things in the future from
I'm
EA.
hopeful too, man. You know,
Yeah, because I mean, everybody wins at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, but whenever I get a little antsy whenever there's money involved, and it's a lot of money involved here.
Yeah,
So
because I think
we
I
could have
think
these sweet dreams, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, we gotta get this money back.
yeah, I
Like,
think I was reading they make something along the lines of 1 or 2 billion a year in revenue. I think EA, something like that. But a lot of that's still debt. Like half of it goes to debt or something crazy. And the unfortunate thing, there's that could be a possibility as well is layoffs. That's always an unfortunate probability of
because you
these.
it's scary because would it yeah, because if they go in, right? I didn't think about that. That was a good thing to bring up as far as layoffs because of these people who bought them out can go in and be like, hey, we want to change things around,
Yeah,
which
we're,
means layoffs. Like they'd be like, okay, who's the head of this? Who
or
okay,
we're
we want to
spending too
go in a
much money over
different
here.
direction.
Yeah, exactly.
We okay, so let's see your resume. What have you done? Oh, you worked on Anthem? Okay, well, we're gonna let you go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we don't want to go this way. So it's very scary, but us at the Super Weapon here, we like to be a little optimistic and hope that everybody lands. We want everybody to land.
Yeah,
Because
I
like I said, it
mean,
could be a great thing, you know?
best case scenario, some of these studios end up independent. I don't foresee that happening easily. I don't even want to say I want a certain company to purchase them because it's all just gonna go into a service that's gonna be behind the paywall once again. When you could just buy the game outright. I think that's something people as a community probably should just start really looking at how much do you place value on the things that you enjoy. This gaming hobby. Do you get more enjoyment out of Game Pass because you play a lot of games? You could play a lot of different games, or do you only play a few a year? And you could take, once again, it's almost $400 a year. You could take that, buy a couple of games. Just
Right.
however you kind of judge it. But I think it's important to pay attention to what's going on because once again, this looks like this is just kind of where game is going. And rip old Game Pass. Them day one games did hit like crack in the '80s, man. But they just kind of handicap Outer Worlds 2 that's coming out in a couple of weeks. Like it's gonna be really interesting seeing how this change affects like their sales on games. So
So you wanna
in the EA too. Sorry, I just kind of went
so
backwards there, but
conspiracy theory me. I'm about to make something out of nothing here, right?
I love it.
So the greatest Xbox console of all time, Xbox 360, right?
Okay.
The price hike of Game Pass has went up $30. $30 times 12, which is 12 months, is 360.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
I see what you're doing, Xbox, you son of a bitch. I see what you're doing. I
It
see
all
what
it
you're
all makes
doing.
sense. It all makes
It all makes
sense.
sense now, you filthy
Oh man,
bastards.
that's so funny. And by the way, if you guys do still want to keep your subs, I think most places like retail stores are keeping those cards out that you can buy at the original price. So you might want to go find those because I know GameStop is doing it. Shout out to GameStop too, by the way. They've been hilarious in this entire process, man.
Oh my God, they Twitter, like
Yeah,
GameStop is,
they actually have
yeah.
been elite in this entire news cycle with the with the rising prices. So DC is paying for Game Pass for the low. No, he said he's already admitted it. He's already admitted he's gonna keep his for now.
I already admitted, yeah, I'm keeping it $30. I can't do it any higher than that. If they go up any higher than that, then I have to
I
leave.
mean, that's like
And
I said,
I
man.
use
That's
my X Cloud a lot. I use X Cloud a
yeah,
lot just to play random games and stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm just
right,
still
busy.
there for now.
Yeah, that's really it,
I'm
man.
such an Xbox child. I like I said, I've been holding it down for Xbox since day one. But you got to call them out on their bullshit too.
None of these companies are your friend, guys. At the end of the day, we've talked about Nintendo, Sony, Xbox is like I said. This is real. The Xbox One generation coded from them, and I don't like that shit, man. I don't.
Oh
They,
no, GameStop is hell.
yeah,
We could do a whole podcast episode on how horrible it is to work at GameStop.
yeah.
I have stories for days.
Shout
I've had
out,
friends who work there.
shout out to the last few Warriors who are still,
Holding it down at
holding it down at
GameStop.
GameStop. Yeah, So
Dog, because if you like it, the culture there has always been bad too. It's never been good. Like never.
that's unfortunate.
GameStop might have started bad work culture. I throw it out there. They might
Yeah.
be the originators. And Walmart.
Yeah, agreed, BZ. It's I could talk about it all day, man. Just where gaming has come
Yeah, it
from to
really
where it's going is it's
did
not,
Xbox record that make the fall off.
I don't think it's unfair to say that gaming is no longer an affordable hobby that anyone can just participate in anymore. Of course you still got your free to play games, but even those are tiered. Your funds tiered on those. Like, oh, you can
And
play.
microtransactions, yeah.
Your kid can play Fortnite for free, but he doesn't have the cool skins that his friends do. He doesn't have that FOMO, man. It's a
He
hell of a
can't he
thing,
can't
bro.
shake ass. No emotes to shake ass. Like they gonna get you.
Yeah, that
You're gonna
FOMO is
pay for
crazy.
something.
So
And then you think about it, right? Fortnite, for example, free to play. But after you bought two skins, what that's $40. Like you just paid for a game essentially.
yep,
Two, three skins, you didn't paid for a game. So
yeah, man.
the economy of gaming is crazy, bro. It's really crazy right now.
Make sure you guys still support single player games, so this doesn't become a wasteland of just microtransactions.
Mhm.
Buy single player
That's what I'm
games.
scared about EA too. I'm really like, I feel like they're gonna really, really, really try to live service us to death,
I
bro.
just
I
want
feel like it's coming.
I just hope Mass Effect 5 comes out, man. I just hope it actually makes it to the finish line. I don't know what to think anymore. This sale for you guys' information. This isn't something that's gonna be a quick process. They said this is not expected to be completed, I think, until June of next year, like the fiscal quarter June next year. So we got a ways to go, and then there's obviously some other legal hurdles that they probably have to go through, and I think some other companies can make bids on EA. So, but I think the important thing here is to remember is that EA is looking to sell, man. They're
Word.
looking at the future. So these single player games that
Right.
require internet connection, yeah, unfortunate, right?
Which is so we don't get me started. I remember when they first started doing that bullshit. I was trying to fight the power, and nobody felt me. Nobody felt me when I was trying to fight that power.
Yep.
I was like, well, why? Why do we need the internet for a single player game? And then they
The
were saying, oh, for updates and
patches.
patches and updates and blah blah blah.
The
Oh, how about we just
patches.
get it right and we don't have to, never
We
mind.
can't patch your game then, guy.
We can't spy on you, big brother.
Nah, don't do that. Enough people are already fucking talking about that.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Oh
The,
God,
the
they're gonna come
internet,
in
your
here,
information is already on the internet, whether you want it to be or not. So just go ahead and accept that.
bro. Your whole digital body print is on the internet. You can't escape it, bro.
Yeah.
No, how you can't live off the grid no matter how hard you try. Right.
Nope.
As soon as the doctor slap you on the ass, you in the matrix. All right.
Just another number, man. But anywho, thank you guys for hanging out, man, for episode 246. Just some very interesting news, not to be a doomer or anything. I don't think it's the end of the world. Gaming's still going to be fire. Next year's going to be great too. It's just, once again, Microsoft looks like they're trying to bet big on the future, and so is EA, man. They maybe see something that we don't that could be coming. But as always, we'll keep you guys informed of any other news. Battlefield's coming out soon. October should be a fun month for some games.
Yeah. Y'all playing with us or what?
Yeah, so we'll definitely be playing that and continuing to play Borderland, obviously. But other than that, man, thank you guys for hanging out. Don't have too much here. Your boy's birthday is in a couple weeks. I'm ready to be off work. That's all I gotta say.
17 Big Squad.
Hey. All right, man. Thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And DC, take us
Birthday
home.
twin. DC, take us home. 1017 Brick Squad. DJ Not Enough in the building, baby. All right. So I really got to hit y'all with this funny fact. I know this is supposed to be the outro, but do you guys know that Saddam Hussein got the key to Detroit City in 1980?
Jesus
Weird
Christ.
fact, right? Weird fact, right? I just had to get that out. I just thought that was very interesting. And we want to give a shout out to our brother Cheese, man. He's announced his retirement, man, from the content space. it just it's a talking point to me because I feel like, you know, we get in this space and we have fun and everybody's in it for a different reason. Everyone has different goals. We have different goals here. You know, our guy Beezy, he has different goals on what he want to do and any other content creator. And it's okay to evaluate things and adjust, man. It's okay. Life does that to you. I am a personal fan of Big Cheese. I always enjoyed his content. I always thought he was a super dope person. He just seems like I've never met him before, but he seems like a really cool, genuine dude. And I just want to wish him the best on his journey, man. Like I hate to see him go, but I read the letter that he put on his Instagram. I completely understand, man. You got to do what's best for your family, bro, and the people around you. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. Um, and the people who doing it, man, don't feel like, you got to be pigeonholed to like one thing in life. Like if you feel like you need to adjust, man, make the adjustments. And the people who around you will support you no matter what. I'll still support Cheese. I'll go in there and give him some likes and whatever because I'm pretty sure he's still going to be on social media. So shout out to that brother. Also, I want to give a shout out to my homeboy Justin. He has his own production company and he did his big one. He was actually called out to help for production on Mafiathon with Kai Cenat, man. This guy literally came from having one camera and doing wedding videos with one camera. He was doing wedding videos, and then his production company slowly grew. He got another camera, then he started getting lights, and then he bought his own building, and like it just I've been literally watching this guy grow from nothing, and it's amazing. For him to go to that, to meeting LeBron James, Kai Cenat, Alicia Keys, and doing production on Mafiathon. Matter of fact, he's the one who sold me this camera. He sold me my first camera. So he sold me this camera right here. I've been using forever. So I just had to shout him out. Justin Media. I will link him in our paragraph. If you ever need any wedding anniversary videos, he does like full blown reality. He can make your wedding into like a reality TV show, like from start to end. He does excellent work. So I had to shout him out, man, just to see that. It's just like watching Beezy grow on YouTube, like to see people grow. It gets me so hyped, man. I'm so proud of you guys, and just keep going, man. I know I'm kind of long winded, but hey, that's all I got.
All right,
That's all I got.
guys. Thank you guys for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.